Hello, it's Deborah Richards, Managing Partner and founder of Madison's Residential, a Tunbridge Wells based independent estate agent specialising in sales and lettings on the Pantars. You know all that by now. Excuse, I'm a bit casual today. I'm having a sort out of the basement. It gets a bit quiet for us in the world of property at this time of year. It won't be next week. It will ramp up massively with most of the schools all now back at time of recording. But we therefore catch up on lots of housekeeping stuff over the Christmas period, and I want to get my hands on the basement under here, get beautiful organised stationery. I'm a highly organised person. So I thought about what could I talk to you about as we come into this new year. Well, many of you might be thinking of a property move. The spring season is now the biggest selling season across estate agents. So yeah, it will run from next week. As I'm recording this, it is Thursday the 4th of January, and it will run really, really long right through until the end of July, beginning of August. It's a long, busy season. So lots of people thinking of moving. They come out refreshed from Christmas and think, let's get on with this. And one of the biggest, most important factors to any buyer in an active search is, of course, location. So we hear this banged on about all the time, don't we? Location, location, location. There's even a program, location, location. And why is that so important? Well, of course, it's the one thing you cannot change. You can change the layout of a property. You can move a kitchen, move a bathroom, extend it, subject to planning consents, etc. Redecorate it, refurbish it, redo the garden, change the parking out the front if you want to get a bit more off-road parking, subject to planning. There's lots of things that are within your control to a certain degree. Location you can never, ever change. And of course, why is location so important? Well, of course, it makes people's lives a lot easier. You've got easy access to amenities, local schools, shops, facilities, transport links, the neighbourhood that surrounds you, who the kind of demographic you want to live with, leisure facilities, green parks, all of that beautiful architecture. It's all governed by location. So it is a highly, highly important factor. It even comes down to importance to kind of which side of the road you're on for some people. We have buyers who will not entertain anything other than a south-facing garden, and southwest, if possible, is the ultimate dream of where they would like to be. So even side of the road sometimes kind of can dictate that in location, something you just can't change. And of course, one of the reasons why it's so important, location will generally protects you on property appreciation and rental yield if you're looking to rent out your home. You'll get the best returns when you have a protected location. And in a great location in any property market, your property will sell. So in a difficult market, in a downturn market, you have a bit of a clear out if you've got a tricky, in a downturn market, you can't have a clear out of a tricky property. So if you've got a compromise, a busy road or close proximity to a factory or another house neighbour who's not very nice, or a real compromise with the layout of your accommodation, then it can be tricky to sell that during a property downturn. In a boom market, anything will sell, anything at all. Subject to being at the right price, which is true of most markets, but it even then is still trickier in a difficult market. With a great location in any market, you'll sell. Simple as that. We went to seal bids on a property at the end of last year. Who knew that in this current tricky climate that the media keeps telling me that we're in? So yes, location will always protect you. So should you have the best house on the worst street or the worst house on the best street? That's something I get asked quite a lot. The reality is, if you are the best house on the worst street, your value of that property will be pulled down to reflect the neighbouring properties around you. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It can mean you get great value for money. So I remember once I sold a property. It was a really, really big house. It had like 8 bedrooms, but not a great location on a really, really busy road. Now, if I'd have picked that house up and put it in a quieter spot, I'd have probably added another 500,000 onto the price. So the buyers that bought it were a blended family. They each came to it. One had 4 children, one had 3 children from their previous marriages, and they needed 8 bedrooms, and they couldn't afford 8 bedrooms in many properties and areas. So that's an example of where you can get great value from having the best house on the worst street, because that rest of that street is pulling your property value down, meaning that if you don't mind about that location and you can live with it or deal with it, or it's not a consideration to you, you'll get great value. If you have the worst house on the best street, your value will be pulled up. The value of those properties around you will raise your house up. You've got to cope with the fact that you're known as having the worst house on the best street. And are you always, there's a couple of roads I can think of in Tunbridge Wells. I'm not going to say, in case you live in them, they're really expensive roads. They sit there in the top 4 or 5 of the parks, there's a clue, of Tunbridge Wells. And yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? When I go out to value, I've sold quite a few on those roads. And if I go out to value a really ugly house on those roads, I know it's going to sell in a heartbeat. That's the reality. Because there'll be somebody who'll really want that great location for all that it offers, and not really care about the property look, or equally know that once they get through the door they can make it lovely, and who cares what looks on the outside. So yeah, as long as you're okay with dealing with that, then worst house on the best street will do you well. You'll always sell it, always sell it for a good price, higher price per square foot than you would get normally. Yeah, someone else will love it just like you. So location is so important. There are other factors you can change, but to sum up, that's one you can't. If you ever want to have a chat to me about the best locations in Tunbridge Wells in terms of protecting value or price per square foot, the village in Tunbridge Wells is the highest at the moment. You can get up to £700 per square foot in the village, huge price. And for many reasons, it's beautiful architecture, lovely parks, high street, Pantiles, mainline station, all of that. I live there as well. Not that I'm bragging or anything, but it's a lovely part of the town to live in. I can vouch for that. I've always lived in that part of town. It's lovely. But yeah, that's the most expensive in Tunbridge Wells at the moment. But there are lots of other very expensive areas that are beautiful to live in, and other areas that will give you much better value. So if you want to have a chat through any of that at any point in time, do please give me a call. I'll be delighted to chat through. I hope that's been of use. Have a great 2024. I look forward to bringing you more snippets over the year. Bye-bye.